if we can also now look at kind of, so that's Prague, that's what we've done, and kind of now where we are. Because obviously, like I said at the beginning of this, I know we've had there's lots of press releases that have gone out. I know Wintershall Dea covered it on their platforms, we've covered it on ours. But it'd be really nice to hear about kind of the work that we are doing now and the way that we are doing it, because I think that's very, very important as well.
That's right. So the projects are being set up as agile projects, and they're true agile projects in that we're running scrums, we're running in 2-weekly sprints. We have what we've defined is a resource level that we're going to run at, and then the team, it's a mixed team combined of Wintershall Dea and Eigen people, are deciding what work needs to be done in those sprints and are going to manage it on an ongoing basis to get the results prioritized by what the users need.
So why agile? Why was agile chosen as a method for this project?
We found that it's really, really difficult to accurately define exactly what you want up front. So when you're either defining something new, especially around software, or even replacing an existing process, working out exactly what the new thing you need to build needs to be, and then how long it's going to take is really, really difficult. Because in reality, as the project goes on, people work out better ways of doing things, or ideas evolve and change. And if you're on a project where you've committed to a certain cost, or all the work's been done to nail down the scope, and then people have bid against that, and then it's very difficult to change. And so really what happens at the end of those projects is both sides of it are equally unhappy, because the users are not happy because their needs change, or the way they understood their needs changed during the project, and so what was being delivered no longer met those, but the costs had already been committed. And so the supplier is not happy because they're delivering something they know the users don't want, but they can't, the way things are structured, they can't deliver it. So and also the cost of managing those projects and the cost of estimating changes adds a big overhead to the project. So when you have to bring a project in at a certain budget, you have to put overhead onto watching that and monitoring it. And that takes away from effort that you could be putting into actually doing development work. And then when a change comes in, it's very disruptive, because someone has to go away and work out the impact of that change on everything else. Whereas when we've done agile projects, we found that we've delivered much more in the time scale. The users are happier, and the overall project has cost less or the same. Or there's been a decision to then continue it on and deliver far more than was ever thought. And the reason is because it's de-risked for both sides, because all we're doing is we're setting the spend rate then.
Yeah.
So the spend rate's fixed. It's really easy to estimate the cost on an annual budgeting
Yeah.
basis. And then it's just how much you can get through the team in that time. And you find that when everyone's then focused on, well, what can we get done, you do a lot more, because no one needs to worry about what it's costing.
Yeah. I think as well, so from a commercial sense, absolutely. I think from the other side of it is that the best agile projects I have seen has been because it's enabled collaboration. So what do I mean by that? It means that the users, the developers, the UX teams, everybody has a joint interest in that product from the start. And it isn't a case of like with traditional waterfall projects where people dipped in and out. You have to stay consistently within that project, because every few weeks at the end of those sprints, you need to make new decisions about what's next going to be developed, what that potentially could look like, etc. And that kind of collaborative approach enables people to then go on that project journey. So when you get to the other end and you land it, everybody should be bought into it. There are no surprises. Absolutely, from a cost perspective, it makes sense. And then hopefully it's being embraced. And we all know that kind of business change has always been one of the trickier elements. It doesn't matter how good your dev is or how good your project is, if it doesn't land and isn't accepted by the business. And that all that stuff is kind of dealt with along the way with Agile. So I think, yeah, from my side, I kind of think I could see both, like that's happening now with the project, and watching, how everyone is working together. So I just thought I'd mention that as well.
No, that's exactly right. Everyone on the team is completely focused on the end goal now.
Yeah.
There isn't a man in the middle having to tell people, no, you can't do that. It's just one team now.
And I think actually, if you think about agile, that's one of the most important elements of agile, because I've worked on projects where there's been resistance to it, and a lot of work has got to go in at the beginning to help people understand kind of how it's going to work, and that actually what they're used to now looks like this, and it's slightly different. But if you trust the process and you can all commit to that process, you will still get something very, very good at the end of it. And I think in this case, both Wintershall Dea and Eigen kind of embrace that approach in order to be able to deliver on the project. So yeah, it's really interesting.